The attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941 brought the United States into World War II. Suddenly, there was a need to fill men's roles so that they were available for overseas action. Specifically, male pilots were needed. An experimental Army Corps program was created to transport aircraft and towing targets for target practice. What started as two programs, the Women Auxiliary Ferrying Squadron, WAFS, and the Women's Flying Training Detachment, WFTD, became the Women Air Force Service Pilots, better known as WASPs. Under the leadership of Jacqueline Cochran, Nancy Harkins Love, and General Henry Arnold, women pilots were asked to step up to serve their country. 25,000 courageous female pilots applied to be the first women to fly for the military. 1,800 women entered the program, and 1,074 completed the training. 3 of these heroic women are interned in the Santa Fe National Cemetery in New Mexico. They were Harriet Urban White, Mary Kuhn Walters, and Beryl Owens Paschich. Harriet Urban White was born in Buffalo, New York. Her first flight was in a Ford Trimotor over Niagara Falls at the age of 7. She flew her first solo flight in 1941, piloting a Piper J3. Harriet passed her instructor's flight test in May of 1942 and became a full-time flight instructor at Beacon Flying Service in Clarence, New York. She founded the Western New York chapter of the 99s, the International Organization of Women Pilots. She was also active in the Civil Air Patrol. Harriet enlisted on March 23, 1943. The 8-month training was split into flying lessons and ground training, where the women learned mechanics, navigation, and weather. In September of 1943, Harriet graduated from the training division at Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas. In October of 1943, she was sent to the 3rd Ferrying Group in Romulus, Michigan, where she ferried airplanes. Harriet's friend and fellow pilot, Ann Noggle, described Harriet as a very determined woman who took risks and was well ahead of her time. In 1946, she married fellow pilot Chester A. White. Harriet and her husband moved to Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1947, where they had 5 children. Divorced in 1965, Harriet obtained a bachelor's degree in Spanish and sociology education and a master's degree in teaching English as a second language. She subsequently taught at numerous colleges throughout New Mexico. Harriet's daughter, Landra White, described her as a woman with insatiable curiosity about people around the world. She had a great desire to help people see connections, how we are all the same across cultures. Mary Kuhn Walters joined the WASPs in 1943. She was stationed at Newcastle Air Base in Wilmington, Delaware. Mary was assigned to several flights across the United States, Mexico, and Canada. When she was interviewed later in life, she said, "Any woman who volunteered for service in World War II would gladly have gone to combat." Following her stint with the WASPs, Mary served as a first lieutenant in the Air Force Reserves. In 1951, she returned to active duty during the Korean War and served as a personnel and recruited officer. Walters then left the Air Force in 1955 in order to become a mother. In 1952, she married Asa Lane Walters. They had 1 child, Mark. At the age of 40, in 1962, Mary graduated from the University of New Mexico's law school. She was admitted to the New Mexico State Bar the same year and worked as a law clerk for Supreme Court Justice David W. Carmody. During her successful law career, Mary served both as a district judge and appeals court judge. In 1984, she became the first woman to sit on the New Mexico Supreme Court. The New Mexico Women's Hall of Fame included her as one of the first 5 inductees in 1986. Beryl Owens Paschich enlisted in the WASPs on October 4, 1943. Beryl graduated from Class 44-3 on April 15, 1944 at Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas. Following graduation, Beryl was sent to Dodge City Army Base in Kansas for advanced B-26 training. She was then assigned to Majors Army Airfield in Greenville, Texas. In October of 1944, she completed an intensive course in instrument flying. During her time with the WASPs, she flew several aircraft, including PT-13, BT-13, and AT-6. After serving 15 months, she was discharged in December of 1944. After the war, Beryl was employed at the CAA Airway Communications Station at the Abilene Airport, the Acomita Landing Field in New Mexico, and the Otto Communication Station near Moriarty, New Mexico. She received her instructor's rating at Graham Bell Airport. On May 4, 1947, she married Jack Millen Paschich in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Beryl was a member of the National Organization for Women and the League of Women Voters. She was a participant in a writers' group called Las Maravillosas in Albuquerque, and in 1990 won an award for her submission to the Southwest Writers' Workshop competition. Unfortunately, Beryl passed before the award was announced. Beryl was an advocate for the Equal Rights Amendment, the ERA, and in 1977 wrote a letter to the editor of the Albuquerque Journal regarding the bill. In her letter, she argued that successful businesswomen who were against the ERA, quote, fear that with equal rights, it may get crowded at the top. The rank and file of women, however, who are faced with discrimination every day in employment and education, do not agree. These wondrous women, the WASPs, were given official veteran status in 1977 with the GI Bill Improvement Act of 1977. Then, on March 10, 2010, Harriet, Mary, Beryl, and their fellow WASPs were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. President Barack Obama said, "The Women Air Force Service pilots courageously answered their country's call in a time of need, while blazing a trail for the brave women who have given and continue to give so much in service to this nation since. Every American should be grateful for their service."